Everyone get in the back. Coach, whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you. Hope everybody's doing well. New week. Great to get a win last week. Very pleased with how the guys played. Continuing improvement for us, the run game, which is important. Trying to stop the run first is always a critical piece to this defense, and it's not going to be any different this week, particularly when you add the element of the quarterback. They do a great job of really trying to create space by moving guys out based off the formation and then trying to create running lanes inside for the QB. So both of those guys are dynamic in what they can do. I think they're very pinpoint accuracy in throwing the deep ball as well. And when you look at what makes those guys go, I think also up front in the running backs, they do a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and those running backs are excellent in between the tackles, can take it the distance. And when you look at the passing game, they get those guys out. It's 5 out almost all the time. And the reason why those guys are so dynamic in the passing game as well. You saw against Vanderbilt where the running back kept splitting them down the middle of the seam for a touchdown. So it's going to be a difficult task for us, and looking forward to the challenge. And with that, I'll take your questions.
In your experience, how difficult is it for a player to switch positions, kind of like Chris Abrams did, and how, rare is it to see kind of success that something happens?
It happens all the time, particularly when you recruit these guys, because most of these guys are athletes. You know what I'm saying? So Chris was, offensive player or the player of the year coming out of Alabama. So great skill set there. And when you have an offensive background, I think it only helps and propel your growth sometimes when you come over to the defensive side. Another guy that you saw with Sean Robb, as well, because of that background on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not surprised. I'm very pleased, but more than anything, which a lot of people don't see, he's probably one of the hardest workers on the team. I mean, he goes at it every day, 100%. So when you look at his performance in the game, I'm not surprised at all.
He was apparently quite a lot like that in high school as well. We always had that sort of hard working mentality. He's also kind of a quiet guy. Is it good to have somebody that's sort of like a quiet leader like that, a quiet, hard worker?
He ain't really that quiet now. He got a little dog in him. He talks a lot of trash, and he competes in practice, and he gets after those guys. Even on the scout team, he don't like the guys catching the ball on him. So he has a very quiet demeanor when he's off the field, but he's pretty aggressive when he's out there.
Hey Steve, Anthony Richardson, the comparison is probably a little premature, but there's people that are comparing a little bit to Cam Newton. You were around Cam a lot. Do you see any kind of slivers there of potential?
Man, that's a tough comparison right there, but I will say he does some great things. Again, he can run the ball, he can pass it. I think he's strong. When you talk about Cam, you can see that it's hard for one guy to bring him down like it was with Cam. So we got to do a great job of really tackling and getting 11 hats to the ball. And that's been a point of emphasis starting today as we met and then going out on the field.
When you're trying to stop the quarterback run like that, or you're looking at film, do you go back to the Vanderbilt game when there were a couple longer ones, or is that when you just move on from?
No, I think you always go back because everything that we do is a copycat league. So the first thing I did, is went back Texas A&M, Tennessee, all the running quarterbacks, because whatever hurt us there, I'm sure Mullen, that's what he's going to do first. So you always got to make sure you go back and correct those things.
You guys had a few instances on Saturday. The defense really just kind of overcome adversity, whether it was a penalty or the offense quick turnover. Is that a difference that you notice that they're handling things or moving on better than maybe they were earlier in the season?
Yeah, good or bad, we try to emphasize next play mentality. And there were some critical times we could have gotten off the field, which was disappointing. We had them backed up, and then we had hands to the face, bless you. And, then they sustained the drive, but we found a way to get the ball back or get off the field. So that's encouraging and shows the maturity of how we're growing as a defense.
Named the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. What stood out to you from his performance against South Carolina?
You guys hear me every week, and I think it's probably I'm consistent in mentioning two names, and we've already talked about Chris Abrams' dream, KD, and Isaiah's another one. His play on the field on Saturday is no different than how he practiced. So, again, I'm not surprised. He came up with some critical plays, some game-changing plays. So it was exciting to see him get rewarded throughout the conference for his being defensive lineman of the week. So well-deserved, and we need the exact same performance, not more, this week from him.
As a whole, last week was arguably your guys' best defensive performance. What did you think was the key to that, and what are some of the things you want to build upon coming into next week?
Well, I think, everybody's like, well, is the defense different? You call it, it's the same defense, it's the same scheme. Guys are really, having that trust element in the man beside them. It's a my gap mentality defense, and when I stay in my gap, great things happen. This defensive scheme has always been a scheme that complements everyone if you just work within it, and you can see that across the board where guys are performing and playing better as long as everybody's doing their job. So I think it's just a mere fact that guys are getting that trust with one another when you're talking about this late in the season, and you expect to be playing well in November. So I hope we can keep it going.
Steve, I think you mentioned during some of those early season struggles that it might take a little while for maybe a defense to kind of click in. But early in the season, did you kind of have a vision for how you wanted the team playing at this time of the year, and how close to your team are you to that now?
You always want to be playing your best ball late in the season, particularly in November. The struggles early in the year, disappointing. Wanted to play better at that particular time, but you had so many different moving parts doing different things, and like I said before, not playing within the system. But these guys are truly bought in. I sat here, this is our defensive meeting room right here, and I said, the difference is you guys are truly bought into my gap mentality. All right, and that's the reason why you've seen somewhat, besides the Vanderbilt with the missed tackles with the quarterback, we've been playing the run a lot better the last couple of weeks.
Steve, Hansford has gotten on the field and played a little bit more, especially with turnaround. What have you seen from him since he's picked up some extra snaps?
Well, again, I think I love his physicality, number one. He's a very physical guy. I think he gives us a little bit for his pass rush. He has, speed coming off the edge. And, again, I think Coach Davis has done a great job in really rotating those guys and again, getting those guys to buy into the details. And that's what you're seeing right now, particularly up front.
I know, obviously, his natural position is defensive end, and we're going back here a little bit, but what did you see? I mean, is he a guy that's got versatility? I know that Tennessee game, he was a guy that you stood up quite a bit. You know how to go back and just, you're just digging, right? No,
you dig. That to me is something. When I went back and watched the Tennessee quarterback runs, I got sick on the stomach, just watching that tape, because I did something totally out of character and trying to do something, that we don't do. A 3-3 stack, that's not us. And he does have versatility. We tried to stand him up, but as you can see, once we went back to our 4-down look, the game somewhat got under control, but it was out of control at that point. So appreciate you doing that to me. Thank you.
You mentioned Al Davis getting guys to really buy in on the details, and after the game on Saturday, a couple players mentioned the energy he brings as a coach. How would you kind of describe his energy, as a coach and dealing with the defense?
A lot of energy. You could see it on the practice field, individual period, throughout practice. He's bringing that spark that those guys need, and Coach Drink always emphasized being the head coach of your position, taking control. And I've always said the speed of the pack is determined by the speed of the leader. So those guys are really taking ownership of their position and trying to get those guys to perform at a high level. So all the coaches are doing a great job of that.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. I'm glad I didn't have anything to eat before I came in here.